You've been through a lot. Get some rest.
Until its opening weekend, The New Mutants has not been dissimilar to its teen protagonist, an oddball locked away from the world by some big, powerful entity. And as it turns out, like them, it didn't deserve such ill treatment. The apparent reason New Mutants sat on the shelf for 2 years isn't that it's unwatchable. Surprise, the movie's fine. But it appears that neither Fox nor Disney knew how to sell what feels like a Netflix show. That's essentially what The New Mutants is. It'd be right at home on the streaming service alongside Stranger Things, Umbrella Academy, and Lock and Key. And as an X-Men movie, New Mutants is definitely superior to the widely released and panned Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. The film's plot isn't complicated, so that shouldn't have been part of the apparent problem selling it. 5 mutant teens are locked away at a mysterious facility where they are studied by Dr. Cecilia Reyes. But when new patient Danny Moonstar arrives, creepy things start happening, with each young hero facing their literal inner fears. They will have to work together if they're going to figure out how to stop it. And while none of that is terribly novel, the film remains engaging throughout thanks largely to the fine ensemble cast bringing these sympathetic characters to life, and to the low-stakes but claustrophobic scenario that generates sufficient intrigue and emotional investment. Is New Mutants scary enough to be deemed a full-on horror movie? No. Is it melodramatic enough to be a straight-up YA movie? No. Is it bad? No. It's perfectly watchable, competently made, and actually gets better as it goes along. What starts as just an okay movie ends as a good one. Even the visual effects aren't that bad. And as a movie definitely set within the X-Men universe, New Mutants also contains a handful of nods and Easter eggs fans of both the movies and Marvel Comics should recognize and appreciate. Director-co-writer Josh Boone made a film that's akin to the first X-Men movie, which, if you revisit it now, is about as ambitious and expensive-looking as a cable TV series pilot. But Boone made his film in an era where the scale and stakes of superhero movies are required to be more epic in order to appeal to a mainstream audience. New Mutants is anchored by its solid cast, led by Blue Hunt as Danny Moonstar and Maisie Williams as Rain Sinclair. The movie develops a romantic relationship between them, and it's all handled in a very sweet way befitting puppy love. Both Danny and Rain, all 5 members of the team actually, are frightened and have been emotionally scarred by what their powers have wrought, and that affects how they view themselves and relate to others. For Danny and Rain, they have each just found someone who understands and accepts them. Each young mutant is only at this facility because their powers got someone killed, leaving most of them riddled with survivor's guilt. Of the 5, Anya Taylor-Joy's rebellious and rude Illyana Rasputin is the most adept with her powers, something the movie puts to great use in the homestretch. Charlie Heaton's everyman Sam Guthrie probably has the most dangerous abilities, but the movie never quite unleashes them, letting Illyana have all the big crowd-pleasing superpower scenes. Ditto Henry Zaga's Roberto da Costa, who gets a memorable powers-revealing scene but never really gets to show them off to full effect in the last act. The New Mutants starts with a long period of quiet, familiar setup, building to a more rewarding and lively second half. The first act is at times sluggish and rote, with exposition aplenty, and while all the cast is solid, the respective accents of Taylor-Joy and Heaton may prove vexing to some ears.
I know that song.
There are also plenty of moments where you're left wondering why a particular character doesn't just use their specific powers to get out of the jam they're in at that moment. These nagging questions are enough to pull you out of things just for a second. The New Mutants had already gained cult movie status before its eventual release thanks to its storied delays. Now that it's a one-and-done entry in a retired franchise and a legitimately good movie, it should hopefully earn its place as a midnight movie classic. The New Mutants didn't deserve to be locked away for years. It's not some unwatchable mess, but rather a perfectly fine, entertaining, if at times formulaic small-scale genre movie. The solid young cast makes their troubled protagonists appealing and identifiable, more distinctly drawn than some of the supporting characters in past X-Men movies have been. While the first half is fairly by the numbers, things get weirder and more entertaining in the second half. The New Mutants had already earned its place as a curious footnote in Fox's now-defunct X-Men franchise, but it's a stronger, better movie than such diminished expectations from its long-delayed release would suggest. For more movie reviews, be sure to keep it locked on IGN, because at some point, they'll start releasing movies again.
Are you crazy? That thing will kill you!
He's right, it's magic!
So am I.